be in your corner, someone to play ball with, to support you, help you, laugh with you, love you. That's family. For children, family is past, present, and future, all rolled into one.
What makes me happy is that every night after dinner, my mom, dad, and I sing. I feel safe whenever we're eating dinner together, and we can joke and share stories about our day. Even if we've had a bad day, we can all just bond over it, and we make each other feel better.
Home is my happy place. Me and my mom try to make dinner most nights. I've even started to look at recipes we could potentially make together. And my dad, he comes to every single sporting event I participate in. I feel extremely blessed to be in my family.
What makes me happy is that my family loves me no matter what. Whether I'm angry, sad, or just being silly, they will love me always. Music has been my favorite thing in the world because it can make your imagination soar into new places and it tells stories beyond your wildest dreams.
What makes me happy is that I know I can go to a loving home. I know that everyone loves me, my family loves me, my mom, every time I have a bad day, she just makes me smile. And my dad, poor dad, every time I come home from school, he tries to cook me dinner, but he burns everything. But that's okay, I know he loves me and he cares for me. And that's what really makes me happy.
Some families aren't happy, or loving, or safe.
There you go. For children who are abused and neglected, hold on, and abandoned, a safe, loving family is just a dream.
One day I come home and everything is gone. Everything changed. Dad's punches hurt, but his words hurt even more. I don't know what happened. All of a sudden, I'm not loved anymore, and home shouldn't be a place where you're hurt at all.
Home shouldn't be a place that
Hey, appreciate the like, Stacy.
you're loved and you feel safe.
It's not my responsibility.
But it's gone.
I don't want to live like that ever again. No one should ever live like that.
It shouldn't be my responsibility.
No.
My responsibility.
I don't want to live.
My
Children in
bad.
foster
Good to have you
care
back,
are
Stacy.
removed from unsafe families. And then we have no family. Our past is scarred with painful memories. Our present is unstable and uncertain. And our future? It's unknown. Will we even be adopted?
Every year, more than 500 teens age out of Virginia foster care without being adopted. Oh, if you didn't catch it, it's Healthy Mental Thursday, Stacy, and our topic for today is Family Matters. Family Matters. Virginia ranks worst in the country for the rate at which teens age out of foster care without permanent family. All right, I just want to see the end of this message too as well.
What happens when teens like us aren't adopted? We age out of the system with nothing.
My young people, my young people, my young people. All right, that make me sad. What's their last message? How will you help us? All right, that's their last message. All right, what we was getting is, what is family? That's the question right now. What is family? Let's see. Let's see what my man's got to say. My little man's.
Hi, Mr. Wonderful here.
That's
You know,
what's
I
up,
don't
Mr.
waste time.
Wonderful. I ain't gonna waste none of your time neither. Let's go ahead and skip past it.
Institute of Family Studies logo, researching family well-being for over 30 years. Children crossing. Children playing.
My family is my brother, me, my mom, and my cat.
2 other brothers.
My little brother and my guinea pigs.
4 other sisters, and 1 brother moved out.
Awesome, but a little bit loopy. My family's fun.
Sporty, encouraging, and helpful.
I have a dog called Nacho.
Gus, you're meant to do it as well.
Very crazy.
Kids can tell it.
It's cool having a
Family idea. What is the basic treatment of your family? Why I say I ended. Everything kicked off. Everything kicked me off. I might have to leave and come back. Dang. The broadcast you are watching has ended. And if it ain't one thing, it's another. Am I off? Am I online? Am I offline? Am I offline? Am I online? No, I'm still on. Alright. Alright. Wish I had a super chat out there that I can be like, hey, chat, am I here? Chat, you still see me? Anyway, I'm gonna just keep talking. Act like I'm here anyway. They say I ended, but I didn't. Alright, anyway. So, family in my mind. First of all, family to me and how I should respond to my family is as follows. Alright, so to me, I have my immediate family, the ones I see every day. But that doesn't. Hey, what's up? Welcome to another episode of Expansion Pack. A scheduled reminder. What is the scheduled reminder? Oh man, I'm gonna have to text her. Let me text her real quick. But hey, welcome to another episode of Expansion Pack. I'm your host, Dan F. Man. It's good to see everybody in here today. Oh man, I wasn't supposed to wear my yellow hair either, so I'm gonna take it off. There we go. Wow, look at my little raggedy. I ain't raggedy though. So today, did I type in a topic right there? Let me make sure I got it. There you go. That's much better. So today on Expansion Pack, what is our topic? Our topic is I did not type one. So let me change this. So it's Find Your Way Wednesday. So what we should, let's see what we should talk about today. I'm coming with this right here and right now. Got it. Your map to, oh well, just your map. Cool. Works for me. Alright, so let me get y'all some motivation real quick, and then we'll get it started. What? Nah, I only had enough characters left in the little title to write your map. Like I literally ran out of, I can't type no more words. So, alright y'all, let's get motivated for the day. Good to see you, Eli. Motivation for my women. For women. You know, on Find Your Way Wednesday, we motivate our women out there. So, let's see what we got. Probably not. Alright, let's go. I gotta send out my invites too. Y'all listen up. Sorry, y'all. Let me get y'all on the right screen.
Wanted to get A's. I wanted to do well. I enjoyed learning. I enjoyed excelling. But what I found out is that when you're one of those kids in a community where not everyone has the same goals, I found myself having to walk a bunch of different lines. There were some kids that didn't like kids who were smart and got good grades. There were some kids who criticized the way I talked. They said that I talked like I was white, which was another way of saying that you think you're better than other people. So I had to contend with, how do I get my education when I'm surrounded by people who may have different expectations of me? And those just weren't the kids in the neighborhood. There were teachers I had to confront, teachers who underestimated me every step of the way. Even when I applied to Princeton, I write about in my book, and I tell this story all the time, even though I was at the top of my class and I was a class officer, I was a leader, when I sat down with my high school counselor, somebody who didn't know me but was assigned to work with students to help them apply to college, and I told them my intention was to apply to Princeton, that counselor told me, I don't think you're Princeton material. The person whose job it was to help young people reach their dreams when it came to college saw me, and whatever she saw in me told her that my dreams were too high. And that cut me in a way that even though I continued on, I applied, obviously, I got in, but I still remember that story. I remember that feeling of doubt, just another adult sort of placing a barrier on me that I didn't even have for myself. So then to enter into an elite school when your high school counselor has told you you're not good enough, when all of society sort of looks at kids of color or kids from poor communities or rural communities as not belonging. I, like many others, walked into that school with a stigma in my own head. More young people nowadays call it imposter syndrome. I don't know if they call it that in Britain, where kids like me feel like they don't belong, so they feel like they're faking it. And I had to get over that. And one of the ways that I got over it was that I looked around at Princeton and I saw kids who were not as talented or as gifted or as hardworking as I was. I learned that this notion of affirmative action sometimes only applies to kids of color or kids from different backgrounds or poor kid, but there are all kinds of affirmative action that take place in elite schools around the country. Athletes who are admitted not because they're great students, but because they can add value. Legacies, people who come from families with long lines within the school, they get admission. So I started to realize that the doubts that I had in my head were all mine, and I had to work to overcome that question that I always ask myself, am I good enough? And I write about that. That's a question that has dogged me for a good part of my life. Am I good enough to have all of this? Am I good enough to be the First Lady of the United States?
I see.
I think that many women, and definitely many young girls of all backgrounds, walk around with that question. But how I overcame that is how I overcome anything: hard work. So whenever I doubted myself, I just told myself, let me put my head down and do the work, and I would let my work speak for itself. And I still find that I do that. I still feel that at some level I have something to prove because of the color of my skin, because of the shape of my body, because of who knows how people are judging. But it takes some time and it takes some maturity to start having some successes under your belt, where you realize, yes, in fact, I am good enough.
You are.
I absolutely believe that education is the key, not just for young women, but for people in general. Knowledge, the opportunity to mature, to try new things, to meet new people, to be open to different cultures. A lot of the problems that we have in the world come from a lack of knowledge. People who are just underexposed to all the different ways there are to be human. And we judge people based on our limited understanding of the world. And
I'm
I
sorry,
always
y'all. I
try
gotta
to
let
hold
this
out
whole one play.
empathy for those who are in that position, because I know that it's based in a place of ignorance. Sounds like a harsh word, but it's the appropriate word.
Right.
Just not knowing. You only know what you know.
Right.
And sadly, if your worldview is this small and you know no one else that looks or think differently from you because you didn't have the chance to be educated or to travel or to see the world or to have your ideas challenged and to learn how to be analytical, then it's understandable that you would be afraid of something different like from you. But the only way we break through that is to educate ourselves and to educate the next generation, to open them up to new ideas.
If you're a man,
all right,
then you've
so
probably heard multiple versions.
That's what we'll. Hold on,
all
wait. Let me see how
sayings
much more
throughout
was
your
left.
entire life.
If you're not a
Nah, we still got like another 10 minutes left, so we ain't gonna listen to the rest of this. But that really kind of moved me in a way that it's like. So when I started out with my own journey and my own goals, I'm gonna keep this brief. Of course you run into the naysayers. Of course you run into the people who doubt, the people who don't see it the way that you see it, because you're in a foreign territory, so to speak. You've been doing things a certain way, so when you start to change, the people around you won't see it the same way. But what stops you is not that they don't see it the same way. It's the expectation that they would see it the same way. So like she said, it cuts, it hurts, it doesn't feel good, and so hold on 1 second. Give me 1 second. Let me fix the day. I'm gonna keep talking. But it hurts in a way that you don't expect. You don't see it coming. And so you just end up falling back maybe on your dreams. And you may recover, you may propel back or bounce back to where you were, and be even greater. Like we listening to the former first lady. You know what I'm saying? If she didn't bounce back, maybe she wouldn't be the former first lady. She wouldn't do some of the things she's done for the community or America or the people that she's done it for. You know what I'm saying? But it still shakes you and rocks your foundation. So with our motivation being in for the day, let's look at the map. The map to what, Eli? The map to success. Let's see what's up. Because there is a map. I believe it is. Let's see what my man say.
5 years later, they met again. This time, not as struggling young men, but as individuals who had carved their paths to success. Stephen's hands were rough from years of labor, but his account was full. David arrived in a sleek car, his outsourcing business thriving.
That's right.
Ibrahim's phone buzzed non-stop with calls from influential people. Mike sat back, quietly smiling, knowing he had built wealth through calculated risks. As they laughed over dinner, they realized something powerful. There was no one way to success. Hard work, smart work, networking, and observation had all led them to the same place. As the four friends sat together, reminiscing about their struggles, they realized how different yet valid each of their paths had been. There was no single formula for success, only persistence, self-awareness, and a willingness to push forward, no matter the obstacles. 5 years later,
Eli called out the map to success. I was given a general, the map, and I like that because I can fill in that blank so many different times. So let's get another one of these in here. I like to look at people. Sometimes a person can be in front of you and you be like, man, that person full of shit. You know what I'm saying? Even if they the most influential, most successful person in the world, you could be right in front of them, talking to them, dealing with them, or even across the room and be like, man, they full of shit, and I don't really like them. And you could kind of wonder how they got to be so successful. Well, we don't base success off of how much people like us. Period. That's how they got to be so successful. I think when you get here on this planet, you are here for a little while, and then you kind of figure out what you want to do here, and then you start doing it, and then you literally, as soon as you start doing whatever it is you're trying to do, a little meter pops up next to your name, and it says success. How successful are you at this? And it's measured by you. But there's so many different factors that we throw in there, that it kind of gets muddy for everybody. If you was to do the same meter or level of success measured up against every single person, you're not going to get the same outcome. Somebody who is playing basketball 7 days a week is not going to have the level of success that somebody that is playing 3 days of a week is having. They're going to be like way up here, and 3 days a week maybe way down here. But the 3 day a week is just playing for exercise. So guess what? His subjective or personal level of success is very high. He getting all the exercise he needs. That's why he only played 3 times a week. You see what I'm saying? All right, now if we base it on how many shots they make, the person who playing 3 times a week could make as many shots as the person playing 7 times a week. So you kind of mix it up. But is there a map to success? Yes, it is. I think I'm gonna just keep this brief because we only watch 1 little second of that little blank. The map to success is measured and defined and refined by you. With my finger. You. All right.
You can have what you want in 5 years, but there's 2 conditions. You have to know what it is, and you have to aim at it. Figure out what you want. Write it down. Figure out what you could do to start moving towards that. Okay. Do that with your family relationships. Do that with your friendships. Do that with your career. Do that with your education. Think about your misuse of alcohol and drugs and other things that might drag you down. Develop a vision. And you have to do that in dialogue with yourself, right? It's like, if I could have what I wanted, what would satisfy me? And you might think, well, I could never get that. And I could say, well, maybe not, but I'll tell you one thing, man. You can move towards it. And I know almost all the pleasure is in the moving toward. You can have what you want in 5 years.
Landon, so by the time you look up and you in that new house, that new home that you've been trying to buy or planning to buy for the last 6, 7 years or 3 years or however long, now, by the time you look up, if you don't pay attention, if you lose focus, you got to unpack, you got to decorate, you got to clean the bathroom, you got to mow the lawn, and you never actually stopped and said, hey, I made it, you know? Now imagine running in the race, and you want to win the race, but you're just so tired. And lo and behold, winning goes down if you're not focused. Your priority for winning goes down if you're not focused, you know? And so what becomes more priority to you is resting because you're so tired. You running, I can't make it. And now winning is like, no, and you start to slow down because you're tired. Now, if you can mentally flip that switch, then we know what's gonna happen. I'm gonna just keep that there with y'all. All right, the map. We're gonna change the word to love. Let's find the map to love, baby. Map to love. Say it with me now, Eli. Map to love. The map to love. You ain't gonna say it? All right, he ain't say it. He the only one awake, so I'm poking fun with him. Hey, it's a book, The Map to Love by Adaf Sohif. 2 minutes and 46 seconds. Let's see. The Map to Love, baby.
In other news, North Carolina residents are going to be happy to hear this. It just came out. There's a new web.
All right.
The Map of Love is a novel by Adaf Sohif that tells the story of 2 women, Isabel Parkman and Anna Winter, who are separated by time and culture but connected by their love for Egypt. The novel is set in both the early 20th century and the late 1990s, and follows the lives of Isabel and Anna as they struggle with their own personal and cultural identities while also trying to understand the complex history and politics of Egypt. One of the unique aspects of The Map of Love is its use of multiple narrators and its interweaving of historical and fictional elements.
We can't listen to the whole thing, y'all. They ain't giving us enough information. I don't want to listen to a book breakdown for too long. I thought it would pick up somewhere. See, look, they got another one, but I think it must have been worth our time if I clicked on it. But love maps and death, got a method, love maps. Let me see. The map of love. Let's see. Y'all gotta be talking though. You can't just be playing it on the screen. See, this one ain't. So ain't nobody got the map to love. All right, hold on. Watch this. The blueprint for a healthy love life. I spelled healthy wrong. Let's see if they got that. Let's see. 24 hours.
Let's say you have exactly 24 hours, not a minute longer, to strengthen your relationship. So what are 5 things that you could do that would really be helpful? Number 1, pay attention to what your partner is doing right. Let's say...
That's the only one they gave y'all. That's the only one they give you. Pay attention to what your partner is doing right. I think that's important because we focus so much on what the partner is doing wrong. I got a whole list right now. All right, let's see.
Hi friends, today we're going to talk about the 3 power laws of health. We are going to accomplish in the next 5 minutes the basic health habits that are going to make you feel the best you've ever done. I'm not going to get into the scientific details. I'm just going to tell you what to do, and you're going to do them because you know what? You know they work. Let's start. Number 1, you're going to reframe your identity that you are a professional sleeper. That means you're not going to sleep when it's convenient or when your show is done or when you're finished playing with your friends. You are going to set a bedtime and meet that bedtime every single day, and you're going to follow some health habits. So there's 5 things I want you to do. Number 1 is eat earlier and lighter in the day. So for example, if your bedtime's at 10 p.m., have your last meal of the day at 8 p.m., and then try 7, and then 6, and then 5, and try pushing it back earlier and earlier, and watch your sleep improve. Find your right timing, but you will learn that the earlier and lighter you eat, the better you will sleep. Number 2 is you need to have a wind-down routine, which means your body needs to be physically ready to sleep. You can't just work up until the last minute, lay your head on the pillow and expect great sleep. The body needs to adjust itself from an aroused, high-energy, ambitious state, whether you're socializing or working, to a calm-down, ready-to-sleep space. Now, you can fill this hour, where your wind-down routine is going to be 1 hour from your bedtime. You can fill it with breath work, meditation, reading a book, going for a walk, but you need to be in a relaxed, calm state, screens off, getting your body ready. Number 3 is the lighting in your environment matters a lot. So turn off screens. I have a red light bulb in my house and a lamp. We just have red light in the house. It's amazingly effective at calming things down and making everyone very tired. Number 4 is consistency matters a lot. Your body loves routine. So if your bedtime's at 10 p.m., try to be in bed every night plus or minus 30 minutes, no more. When you deviate, the body gets confused and you're not going to have as good a sleep. Number 5 is avoid stimulants, for example, like caffeine. So if you go to bed at 10, be mindful, you may want to have your last cup of coffee before noon or so. So by the time your bedtime arrives, you're good to go. All right, so this is the first one. This is the most important one. Sleep is your number 1 life priority.
All right, so I did type in the blueprint for a healthy love life, but healthy life in general is good. All right, let me see. Another one. The map to a good vacation. I want to get as many of these in as I can. Oh, planning destinations for it. Oh, look at this. Let's go. Teach me something.
The Tech Temple.
The Tech Temple. The Tech Temple. Hey.
Everybody, this is Wise Man White. Thank you for checking out this other video about Google Maps. The first one, if you want to check that out, that's just an overview of what you can do with Google Maps. It's very basic if you haven't touched it before, but you might find some stuff that you didn't know about anyway, so I still check it out. So this one is more of a, hey, I'm going on a vacation or I'm going somewhere. I want to plan my trip out before I get there. What do I do and how do I do with Google Maps? So first of all, let's go ahead and get a different application. It's not Google Maps, but it still is a Google application. Go to the store and type in My Maps. And it's going to come up as going to be called Google My Maps. So go ahead and open that. And we're going to go ahead and plan our trip out. So let's say we are
how old this video is.
From Ohio, and I want to go to
damn, this 8 years.
We're with a family of kids. So you want to go ahead and add plus, and you want to let's call this Disney, and let's just call this vacation. Hit OK. All right. So now you can see now we're on the list called Disney. So we need to fly from the airport first, right? So let's go to Cleveland, not GPS, Hopkins Airport. Don't click Move Map to, click the actual one with the icon by it, and then hit Add to Map. Untitled layer. You'll see what I mean about layers later. So
hey, I'm about to get that on my phone now.
Fly to airport to Orlando, right? So Orlando Airport.
Let me see.
Orlando Airport, add to map. And put that on there. And we're probably going to also want to stay at a hotel. So let's do this Hilton Orlando that I looked up already. Hilton Orlando. Parkway, and add that to the map.
See, they ain't even. I figured that.
So all these have added to our map. So if you zoom out,
let me see.
You can see the two places that we've done for Orlando, as well as we zoom all the way out where we're leaving from Ohio. So let's go back. Slide this back up. Let's go back to our created by me, and let's go to Disney. So you'll see right here, untitled layer, and the layers are kind of like, think of them groups, or however you want to divide it up. So one way I think to divide it up is, hey, day one, this is what I'm going to do when I'm leaving. So you just put day one.
Dang, they ain't got the app no more.
And so day one, you're going to leave the airport, arrive at the airport, and you're going to go stay at Hilton Orlando. And then you're probably going to want to eat or wherever else after that, right?
Let me see how far.
So you want to add another
let me see
layer.
how he end up. How does end up looking?
What else Google recommends? Best during the week kids. Let's try Crez restaurant.
Let me see.
Like all you get are the places that you want to eat at, or that you favorited, or that you
right.
Groups. And what you could do after you get all that, you will be able to go into Disney and you'll be able to share that map. So let's say
what? I'm gonna have to do that.
You can share that with anybody, and they'll be able to read that. So if they have Google Maps on their phone, they'll be able to, and they have this Maps application.
Yo, so when y'all go on vacation, I know everybody does this right now. This is like the current age of doing this. So everybody pull out their phone and they be like, all right, where we gonna eat at? And they start typing in what's near me and all of that stuff. Well, I think for our next trip, we're going to have a navigator. And the navigator, me and the navigator going to sit down and we're going to map everything out on the trip. We're going to type it in, we're going to put it in, and then we'll just follow that as opposed to, we'll know what we're doing on day 1, day 2, day 3, and then we ain't got to do all of that. This is good. I appreciate this one, Tech Temple. Let me see what else y'all got. Let me see. Oh, hold on, wait. I got a better one. The map to changing your life. This stuff I be typing in, it always make me laugh. Because you're guaranteed to get a good video if you're just willing to search.
If you are like most people, there is a gap between the person you are and the person you
Oh, we
wish
seen
to be.
this. We seen this. Hold on. Let's go.
Friends make life good. They provide the scaffolding that makes it not just bearable, but fun. They give us a sense of meaning and purpose, and are a source of security, self-esteem, and happiness. Almost nothing predicts how happy you will be as how connected you feel, and a lack of social connection is associated with a number of diseases and a shorter life. But maybe you have scrolled through your phone unsure who to call to go to a movie with, to celebrate with, or ask for comfort. You may realize that you don't have enough friends and feel lonely. And it's not just you. Disconnectedness and loneliness are widespread. Many people want more close friends but don't know how to get them. Surprisingly, nowadays, loneliness is highest among young people, whose relationships were also hit especially hard by the global pandemic. Social distancing stopped teens and young adults from mingling in classrooms, clubs, or dorms. Millions of friendships, maybe lifelong friendships, that might have blossomed will never exist, with profound long-term consequences for our collective happiness. The good news is that it's not too late, and there are lots of friends to be found. We'll mix scientific information with actionable advice in this video, but we can't address every individual situation. People, cultures, and schedules are different. If you suffer from chronic loneliness, you can also watch the video we made about it. Okay.
All right,
As
let's
with
see
all
what's up.
important things in life, making friends is infuriatingly simple, but not necessarily easy. But it works through a few pretty straightforward mechanisms. The most important thing about making friends. People make friends with other people when they spend casual time together. This is how our ancestors formed their relationships, because humans lived in small, close-knit communities in which options for making friends were limited, so we just formed good relationships with the people who were around us. This is why it's so easy to form new friendships in school and university. Society locks you and your peers in a building for several years. You share similar activities, but more importantly, similar schedules. Overlapping and fluctuating social circles form, naturally giving you regular FaceTime and shared experiences with many different people. Time to find others with similar worldviews or senses of humor. Proximity can be more important than similar interests.
Right.
One study found that in student dormitories, the distance between rooms was the strongest friendship predictor. Living closer together meant a higher chance of becoming friends. Another study showed that being physically present in a class a lot without saying a word makes others more sympathetic to you. So the most important principle of making friends is to regularly spend time with people in the real world.
You know, I think that's not even something that you got to think about, or like he had to say it, but think about how much we spend time in the phone world, computer world, video game world, in our own world. And so you don't spend time with people in the real world, you don't have friends. Now you have friends in the video game world and all those other worlds I just said. But if that's something, not if, it's important to us all, because in order to grow, we have to have something to kind of rub up against or compare ourselves to or interact with. I think that's the whole point of the universe at times, is that interaction. But if you have nothing, no one around, then your growth is limited to what you can actually experience. And now what you can experience is limited because there's no one else around experiencing anything. So you're not getting no extra information. So now, hold on. Using the map. This is the one thing we didn't do. Let's do this for fun real quick. How to use a map and compass. Yeah, I know how to use. I know how to do this. This is a great lesson right here. I should have started with this. If you don't know how to use a mapping compass right now, here you go.
What's going on, guys? This is Black Scout Survival, and today I'm going to do a tutorial on map and compass. I have gotten a lot of over the years people asking me about navigation, and I'm going to try to do this ongoing. You know, I'm not going to do everything at one time because this will be a 2-hour video. So I'm going to do the most basic stuff first, and we're going to work through and go through the whole gamut of everything. But I just want to give you this little nugget of information now so you can go ahead and use the map and compass for general navigation today. So we're going to first talk about the features of the compass, then we're going to talk about how to use it with a map. Okay guys, this is the Sunto MC2 Global Compass. This is a sighting compass, so it has the mirror section here used for sighting, and we'll talk about that in the future videos and stuff like that. But anyhow, let's talk about some of the features. Like I said, you have the sighting mirror. You have the bearing index, which is this line with this little arrow, this little tick arrow here. You have the bezel ring, and it has bearing marks on here. You have the orienting arrow, which is this arrow right here that's in that dial that you can see moving there. Some people call it the doghouse or the box. Down below here, inside the compass, is the declination scale, and we'll cover that in a future video, adjusting declination. Then you have the orienteering lines here, which are going with the orienteering arrow. And then you have the compass needle, and the orange in this case, because this is the global, usually they're red, but that always points north. Then you have little scales and stuff like that you can use for judging distance, and then you have a magnifying glass there as well. And if you have a declination scale, it's going to come with a little declination tool like that right there. Okay guys, so we're going to go ahead and show you how to
I love maps.
Find your azimuth for direction. And you can see here, this is the reference lines here.
So before he go any further, I want y'all to know I think this is among the most important skills you could ever learn. And the reason being is because you don't know where you at, you don't know where you going.
This is north and south line, east and west line. Now, if I'm going to get my bearing from my, or orient my map, you'll see this is the north line here, and my compass is pointing north is this way. So what I'll need to do is to get my map oriented, I'll need to flip it around. Okay, and then I can use my, just to show you. So now my map is oriented. So in this case, let's say I'm here at the Hurricane Branch, and if you can draw on your map, use a pencil usually, or use a map protector and map pins.
Map pins, yeah.
And let's say I'm going down here to Round Mountain, my finish, and I'm going to draw a line
from there to there.
To there. So what I'm going to do now to get this bearing is I'm going to place my compass edge up against that line. I'm going to make sure my orienteering arrows in line is lined up with the north and south reference line. So you can see that little line inside there possibly, and I'm going to twist those reference lines to match up with this line right here.
My man's.
So now what I've got is right here, 130 degrees is my azimuth.
Azimuth, right. Look
if
at
I'm going
that.
from Hurricane to Round Mountain, if I'm going this up.
I ain't gonna lie. I did this before. I've done this before, and I've learned this already. And Oh my gosh, when I actually, so what I did was, what I had to do was find my way from checkpoint to checkpoint to checkpoint, and laying down, looking at the map, like we was running around frantic, okay, and then I laid down, and everybody want to be the star of the story, but just listen to the damn story. I laid down with the map and the compass like he's doing, and I was like, okay, we're here. And I did everything that he's doing and was like, okay, y'all, let's go. This is the direction we going. This is how long we got to go, and this is where we going to find what we looking for. When we found it, oh my gosh. When we actually found, like, I looked at a piece of paper and used this little piece of plastic with a magnet in it and found my way to somewhere. And what? We going everywhere now. And we don't need no phone. Give me the map and the compass.
Direction. Now, if I was going this direction, I would place the compass facing this way. So make sure you're facing the compass towards that area. So got our azimuth now. It's 130. Now let me show you something else. You can also use a compass card. This is a SC Knives compass card. And if you place that compass card in the center of this line and match up, you can match up if you get the grid right, make sure the grid on is correct, and place it in the center and then match those inside lines to your line. You will have, see that north and south reference line, then matched up, and you see that's 130 degrees.
30, and you can have it
well.
faster, right? You would automatically know if
using
you don't.
that compass card.
Right.
Dreaming of a custom home that's exactly
You
how
just
you want
draw
it?
your line.
At
So
America's
basically,
Home
let me give
Place,
y'all,
we've been building homes
while it's
your
ad
way.
run. Basically, you take a piece of paper that shows you the area you in. You take a piece of plastic with a magnet in it and some arrows on it. You draw a dot from where you at, and you draw another dot and where you want to go. And you take that little plastic with the magnet, you lay it down, you draw a line, and you orient it the way you want to go, and it gives you the azimuth. You use the azimuth to, hold on, sorry.
Map, you're going to have a scale, and you can use your compass to measure.
Oh, my bad.
Distance.
You use the azimuth to figure out which direction you have to walk in. So your compass is always going to point north, and then you use your azimuth to walk, to be able to go in the direction you want to go. So the compass is pointing north, but you're going to follow the azimuth that you want. Is going to take you in that direction. So let's say you can't walk on a straight line because it's too many trees, too much brush, whatever, you in the woods. You would go around, you would turn off of that azimuth, go around, find your opening, and then turn back to that azimuth and go in that direction. Same as you would. Or you could even plot a new point, do the same thing, process, and turn so that you can figure out where you're at, figure out what opening, and then go back to that same azimuth, meaning direction.
On that scale.
My bad.
So at the bottom of each map, you're going to have a scale, and you can use your compass to measure that distance on that scale. So then you can take that information
and figure out how
and
long
lay it
you
from
have to walk.
Your start to finish, your point A to point B, and find out how far your distance is.
Right.
Now I'm going to put a link to the video that we did previously on pace count beads, and watch that video.
The pace count, everything.
And it will teach you how to pace count and use those beads for measuring your distance. We'll talk about backstops and all that kind of stuff, handrails to keep you from going beyond your point in the future. But this, like I said, I wanted to keep this kind of basic. So, like I said, it's important to orient that map. I see a lot of people put their compass down, they'll shoot it and stuff like that, but then their map's not oriented. It's smart to orient your map to your compass.
To your compass, right.
Now, we have that 130-degree bearing in that on that reference index there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to turn the compass until we box that needle. And when I mean box that needle,
right? Let me see.
I'm gonna try to get it to do it. Is you're gonna put that orange or red part of that needle inside that orienteering arrow there. So box the needle like that right there. So hold your compass out in front of you. Don't turn or twist it. Hold it straight out in front of you. You can use your mirror to look down into
the compass to be able
see
to orient yourself.
that you're pointing that arrow while you're holding that compass out in front of you in the right direction. If you can see that. So you'll box that compass holding out in front of you. Take and use the sighting line on your compass and shoot far out as you can and look for a terrain feature, a prominent terrain feature that you can walk to out in the distance. Once you get to that terrain feature, you'll shoot that azimuth again. You'll stand, if it's a tree, you'll put your back up against that tree and shoot out again and keep going like that right there.
Yes,
okay,
sir.
guys, that was how to use a map and
Yes,
compass. Very basic use. We'll cover declination, handrails, backstops, all that kind of stuff in the future.
So, how many of my viewers, whether you watching this video and this was a rerun or you watching it live right now, how many of my viewers knew this information, knew how to do this? Right now we use phones for everything. We use phones for telling the time, talking to people, texting people, sending messages, pictures, and for map and location, finding our way. So how many of us are still using analog or the original way, the OG ways to find our way around, or the, you know, like we talked about landlines yesterday? Are we still able to call upon these skills? Do you know somebody who can, do you even know where to buy a map from? You got a paper map? Who got a paper map of their state right now? You got a paper map of your state? I don't. You see what I'm saying? So having this information and knowing this information is important, because think about needing to go somewhere, not knowing how to get there, and not having no resources to tell you where it's at. All right, let's have a little bit of fun real quick, and then we're gonna get out of here for today. The map of time. Does time have a map? I made maps that showed time instead of space. Let's see.
Monday.com.
This is gonna be fun. Well, it should be, if this video is what I think it is.
Showing space, but they're not good at showing time. So I decided it's time to fix that. It's time to build maps that show time instead of space.
Let's see.
Here's a map you can find on the street in London. It shows you where you are, and to give you a sense of scale, it also has a circle that says 15-minute walk.
Hey.
But what's always bothered me about this is that this circle is a lie. That's because a circle is a set of points with equal distance from the center, not equal travel time.
Right.
For example, let's draw a circle around this point. All of these points are 500 meters away from the center, but they're certainly not the same walking distance away, because, and this is true, you can't just walk in a straight line to get from point A to point B. If we were to draw an accurate 5-minute walk outline, it would look something like this.
Like that.
Unfortunately, Transport for London has yet to answer my complaint emails, so I guess we're gonna have to make a map of our own. Obviously, I'm not the first person to realize this, and the line we drew there already has a name. It's called an isochrone, a line that's a fixed travel time away from a starting point. If you draw a bunch of isochrones with different times, what you'll get is an isochrone map. Here's the earliest known example from 1881. It shows how many days it takes to get from London to any place on Earth.
Wow.
And here's a simple modern-day isochrone map with...
Yo, we do this every single time. I didn't even know this existed until I started doing this show and doing all of this. Thank you, Expansion Pack.
Isochrones for a 15, 30, and 60-minute walk. Since walking speed is more or less constant, you can see how the isochrones smooth out to circles as we increase the radius. But if we instead visualize how far you can get by car, things get funkier. You can see the smallest isochrone is really irregular, and even the big ones aren't smoothed out completely.
Right.
That's simply because the speed of a car varies much more than the speed of a pedestrian. So that's one way to make a map show time, but there's two things that I still don't like about isochrone maps. One, they have a fixed starting point, so if you care about travel times between other places, you're out of luck. And two, more importantly, they're kind of boring. They're still built on top of the same space-first maps where time is a second-class citizen. It's time we break free from the constraints of the Mercator projection and build something radical.
Let me see what he's
a
talking
map
about.
that truly shows time instead of space.
His breakdown of how he was going to do it is great.
Here's what we're going to do. Instead of bending the circles into weirdly shaped isochrones, we're going to bend the map itself to show time. One way to think about it is we're going to bend the isochrones back into circles. If there's a pair of points that's close together in space but takes long to travel between, such as 2 points on opposite sides of the Thames, then we'll pull them apart. And vice versa, points that look far apart but are easy to travel between will get pulled together. For cars, an example would be 2 points on a highway. They might be far away, but since it's a high-speed road, it's just a short drive. Let's start by overlaying a grid of points over the map. For each pair of points, we're going to add a spring with a certain target length. If the points are further away than the target length, they'll get pulled together, and if they're too close, they'll be pushed apart. Like with physical springs, the strength of the pull or push is proportional to the distance. So then we'll have a whole bunch of springs, and different springs will try to move the points in different directions. So we'll just simulate the behavior of the whole spring system until it settles into a stable solution. Now, to create a spring between 2 points, we'll need to compute two things. One, how far away the points are. Because Earth is round, allegedly, it's a bit more complicated than...
You know, I just want to say this before we go any further, because I'm going to fast forward some of this video. We're almost out of time. I personally, this is going to sound bad, but I personally didn't get the encouragement, and I think a lot of us didn't, to think like this or to think as far as this. You know, it's a common thing to say, don't think so much, or you thinking too hard. And it's also a common thing to say, that's what I'm gonna say. I'm gonna start using my brain how I want to use my brain.
And just using the Pythagorean theorem.
All right, let's see how his map. Let's see how it looks. That music is killing me. See how the final result look.
I set this distance threshold so that one grid only costs about $10. The API gives you $200 free credits per month, and that ended up covering the costs. Here's of points, and you get a full matrix of travel times. This is called the Floyd-Warshall algorithm, and it's a fancy name for 3 nested for loops. And perfectly satisfied, and so we're not visualizing the travel times perfectly. Unfortunately, there's not much we can do about that. There's not too much space to maneuver in 2 dimensions. It would help if we allowed the points to move around in 3 or even more dimensions, but then it would no longer be a map in the traditional sense. One way to improve accuracy in 2D would be to loosen the requirement of having a map that's accurate globally. Remember the isochrone maps from the beginning? They only show the travel time from a certain point. We can do something similar, but more fun. Let's make it so that when you hover over a point, the map is going to try to become more accurate around that point by making the springs that are close by stronger and the distant ones weaker. I love how fluid this looks. When you move your cursor around, you get the feeling that the map is 3-dimensional, and it's made of jelly, and you're making it move around with a hairdryer, or something like that.
I want to see him click on something.
At this point, the research part is done, and all that remains is putting in the work and turning it into a usable website. I think it's going to be like finally done. I've linked the site in the description, check it out. The code is also open source if you want to have a look. I'll leave you with a few more seconds of jelly map footage. See you in the next video.
So, yeah, that was actually pretty cool. I enjoyed watching that video. All right, y'all, I hope y'all got something out of this today. I did, me personally, refreshed my location skills. I can actually do some navigation and locating of some things if I needed to on a paper map. I don't know about you, but that's worthy of my time right there. So, this has been another episode of Expansion Pack. I'm your host, Dan F. Man. What I am going to do, though, is leave y'all with some soul food before we go. quotes for the day. All right, y'all, rock with me. Let's get it. And then we'll get up out of here.
One day, the people that don't even believe in you will tell everyone how they met you. When you build in silence, people don't know what to attack. Loneliness is the price you pay when you start to improve yourself.
Yes, sir.
If someone is trying to bring you down, they are already below you.
Oh my gosh. Appreciate you, bruh.
Failure is a bruise, not a tattoo. The truth is, everyone is going to hurt you. You just gotta find the ones worth suffering for. Turn your wounds into wisdom.
Yes, sir.
If you look at the people in your circle and you don't get inspired, you don't have a circle. You have a cage.
Oh my gosh.
A good life has some bad days too.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Don't cry because it's over. Smile because it happened. When writing the story of your life, don't let anyone else hold the pen.
Yes, sir.
Smiling doesn't necessarily mean you're happy. Sometimes it just means you're strong. For it is better to be alone than in bad company. Free yourself from society's advice. Most of them have no idea of what they're doing. The family you create is more important than the family you come from.
I always thought that too.
How many things would you attempt if you knew you could not fail?
All of them. All of them.
If you aren't willing to work for it, don't complain about not having it.
Last one, y'all.
One day, all those late nights and early mornings will pay off.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right, y'all. I'm going to get out of here for the day, and I'll see y'all tomorrow on Healthy Mental Thursday. This has been another episode of Expansion Pack. I'm your host, Dan F. Man. This is DGTA TV. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, follow, whichever one you watching, and the button is right there. And also turn on them notifications, man. I'm sending out text messages. I'm doing all of this stuff to get you in here. Turn on them notifications so you can get in here too. All right, y'all. This is DGTA TV. Oh, let me say that again. This is DGTA TV. Peace.
Developed.
Or, you know, whatever it is that you need that's going to make you better.
A new identity, so you try to go back and hide in your old identity. And that actually doesn't work because, well, things have changed and you've learned something and that isn't who you are anymore. And so it's like you have to cut parts of yourself off in a destructive manner to fit back into the person that you were. Now what happens here is that Pinocchio escapes from this.
Okay, I acknowledge. Hold on, wait, let me put it on the big screen. I was completely wrong. Back to the movie.
Tyrannical situation. and undergoes this descent into chaos, but he tries to go back home. He tries to go back to what he was, and he can't do that anymore. His father isn't at home anymore. And so when he goes home, he finds that there's no home there. Now, this happens to people sometimes, and it's often a shock to them. So one of the things I've noticed about Peter Pan type, I'm going to speak about men here because I've observed it more in men, is that they'll often stay under the thumb of their father. And you think, well, why would someone do that? Because it means they're subject.
Yes, definitely do. Definitely do.
To the tyrannical judgment.
Oh, the question was, don't we sometimes wish we could go back? And so I'll restate that. Yes, definitely do. But I'll say this, just to be brief. Only to visit, though, not to stay.
Of their father. They're always concerned about what their father would think or whether their father approves of them, and so forth. And you think, well, that's got to be an unpleasant place to be.
I thought this was a dream come true for us.
It's your dream. You can't force a dream onto someone else, Dad.
Yes, I can. I can force a dream on you.
Why are you yelling?
Because it's a good dream.
One of the things that I've suggested to my clients and to other people sometimes is that here's a weird little exercise that you can undertake, a little thought experiment. So you have your parents, and of course your parents have friends who are about their age, and maybe some of them are people you only know peripherally. And I might ask you, well, do you care more about...
Remember this video. Now, if you've been watching along with us here on Expansion Pack, you might remember this video too. Pay attention.
About what your parents think, then you care about what these peripheral people who know your parents think? And then the answer to that is, well, of course. And then the question that arises out of that is,